Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is in your hood. I am absolutely Adia,
It's your girl Ashley Nicole.
Franchise. I'm in the building.
and we are the Quad.
Yes, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? We are in the building today with Mr. Justin Brown. I'll give you a little bit of his background. He is a spoken word poet, originally from Bryan, Texas.
Mhm.
Okay,
Alrighty.
all right. Studied journalism in Peoria, Illinois, and one of the top ranked. I did my research. Top ranked private universities, Bradley University.
Mhm.
With 25 years in the game. Just
25.
yes, 25 years, and he does not look like
Baby
it, y'all,
face.
okay,
Already.
straight baby
That's that good
face.
living right there.
Yeah.
That's what I told him, baby. I don't keep that stress on my mind. I let
He
it
was
release.
giving me some
Hey.
tips before
Yeah.
the show.
Beautiful.
dropping some jewels before we got started. I had the opportunity of actually meeting Justin at the Juneteenth celebration this year, which was pretty dope. He did a couple of pieces, and the one that really stood out to me was The Last Man Standing. So that was really just made me jump to him like, okay, wait, we gotta have him on the show.
Highlight this young man.
Let's highlight him real quick and just get his background. So I'm gonna jump right in with it. With spoken word, with there being different types of forms of poetry, what would you say has been your best experience or best worst obstacle that has gotten you through to actually express who you are as an individual from the beginning of your writing up until now as an individual?
Well, that's a great question. Me personally, I'm my biggest critic.
Yeah.
I'm my biggest obstacle.
Yeah.
I grew up an angry child.
Okay.
I was diagnosed a manic depressant. A lot
Okay.
of people don't know what that means. There's
Right.
misconceptions on those type of things. So me
Yeah.
personally, when I get in my place,
Yeah.
I'm my biggest enemy. But also, that's my
Hmm.
biggest strength as well because I go just as hard on trying to succeed as well.
I
So
heard that.
at the end of the day, no man on earth I feel is created better than me.
Yeah.
I feel like I am equal. I take that seriously.
Yeah.
So if I see another man with that opportunity, I feel like I can take it. I feel like I can have it. I feel like I should at least strive for it at my
Exactly.
worst. So at the end of the day, I'm not the person that's I grew up from the country.
Yeah.
Okay. So like my
Right,
grandfather
Texas.
always used to say, he say, keep them blinders on. Like we do those horses. A
Yeah.
lot of times the horses don't go over train tracks because they get a little nervous, a little skittish, so they put
Yeah.
the blinders on. So I took that in as a young kid, just put my blinders on because at the end of the day, when I get in my casket, it's just
Yeah.
gonna be me. It's only gonna be enough room
Exactly.
for
At
me.
the end of the
I don't
day.
have enough room for excuses. So that's life.
Yeah.
Life has been my biggest motivator, and it's been the reason why I write what I do and the things that I write.
Now, walk us through your creative process. How do you create your pieces?
Well, in my mind, like I tell people all the time, it's words that trigger certain instances, that trigger certain phrases, and I want to write it down.
Okay.
And then I might circle back around to it a week later, or hear a song, or hear something on the news that I say, oh man, my piece that I was writing on that would be perfect to put this in my piece. So at the end of the day, that's really the method I take is when I got it on my mind, I got to put it somewhere. And with these smartphones nowadays, it makes it a lot easier.
Right.
No
where I used to have to wear.
pad.
Yeah, I got a poem that I said my first life was written on a big chief tablet. Because that was the first time I actually felt like I was living. Is when I could actually express the things that was on my mind, and that was on a big chief tablet. Probably when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So.
Wow. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Like, when did you realize, I have this ability and this gift to be able to, I guess organize your thoughts and then make, art out of it.
Right. Well, I wasn't the best singer. I couldn't hold a note, but I did grow up in the church. I come from a long line of pastors. My dad's a pastor. My uncle's a pastor. My great granddad's a pastor. So I always wanted to be involved in the church, and I wanted my voice to be known in the church. And my way of doing that was maybe doing the welcome at the church, at the church anniversary or whatever it was. So at the end of the day, that was the way I was going to contribute. If I'm anything I do, whether I'm school or playing basketball or anything, I want to contribute. And that's my biggest thing. I'm not gonna be a standby. So that was my way to first get in front of people, and then I actually started getting positive feedback, and it helped build my strength and my personality to say, hey, I can contribute in other ways than just singing. And eventually, when my basketball career ended, I still had something to fall back on, and that was my brain and my words.
Yeah.
Very good.
I like that. And then that also brings it back to where you stated that you're simply a vessel. God, gives you the vision and you illustrate it through your words.
Right.
With that, that's a very, very strong statement. And to me, what I got out of it is that you not only move by courage, but you move off faith, not necessarily concerned with the acceptance of your pieces. You really just state what's on your mind at that time. This is what it is. You take it how you are going to receive it. Has that, some people will consider thinking that way as a setback. But just hearing you and really getting the understanding of how you got started, and you explaining that you were your own roadblock or your own enemy. A lot of people can't admit that.
Right.
So that's very encouraging for those who may be starting off writing, really don't know where to dig deep to get from, or where to grab these words from. People think about thoughts all day long,
Right.
but you're not putting them on paper. Like what is the real true meaning behind them.
Right.
So I really appreciated that you did state that in your bio. So I appreciated that from him.
Yeah. Well, really, that came from experience. Like I said, I am from a small town.
Yeah.
When I went to school in Illinois, 1,000 miles away, I met people from other places, and I never realized that they didn't see this type of black. They always seen their type of black, or Chicago, Illinois black, or St. Louis black. Might never seen country black,
Right.
or like I used to say, black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
so blacky blue.
Hey, I am pro black.
Yeah.
But I'm not anti-human. You see what I'm saying? So
That's
I do
good.
believe in, hey, standing for what I believe in.
Yeah.
My great grandfather was a sharecropper.
Yeah.
He didn't let that make him an excuse. He was able to travel this country. He was actually known as one of the most successful black pastors, Southern Baptist pastors
Wow.
in Texas.
Wow.
So he didn't let that be an excuse that, hey, I used to pick cotton for a nickel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He wanted to build something so that his kids and his kids' kids could have something.
Exactly.
And that's what I want to be. That's when I say, when I'm a vessel, it's people that don't get this opportunity. You see what I'm
It's
saying?
true.
Like, and the book that I'm working on, and we'll talk about that later, is basically
Yeah.
called Mostly Misunderstood for that simple reason. A lot of us are misunderstood.
Yeah.
They take our swag, or they take our strength or our pride for a threat. But at the end of the day, you can be proud to be white.
Right.
You can be proud to be gay.
Yeah.
I can be proud to be black. And I just feel like people need to understand that it's okay to be you, to take pride in who you are.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So that's me.
So how do you use your voice to build those bridges?
To do
That's
to
good.
to build bridges.
As far as what you were just speaking on, as far as the racism and people not having that experience, that human experience with other people. We were talking about that just recently, like people that may have been from super small towns, maybe one stoplight towns, where they haven't encountered black people because there weren't any where they are from.
Right.
So knowing that and encountering people like that along your path, how do you use your voice and your poetry to bridge that gap?
Well, I first you got to be conscious of who you are, and what you represent. You're never gonna see me with my pants sagging. I never did that when I was 12, 13. That's not how I was raised. It's not the perception that I wanted the world to see me, whether it was white, black, Mexican, whatever. I run into kids every day. I manage. I've been managing businesses, corporate America businesses, since I was 24, 25 years old. So at the end of the day, I don't want it to be a separation between, hey, I have to be a certain way at work, I just want to be me. And that's taken me this far, and I want people to understand that they can be them. They don't have to be like somebody else. They don't have to do it like someone else. People will accept you for who you are just by being you.
Right.
My college had 103 black folks. 103 at my university. They could count how many people that were black in my university, and we had basketball. So that's 10 or 13 of them right there. So at the end of the day, I had to take it upon myself that no, I don't play basketball. But I am smart. I do have intelligence, and I contribute to society in different ways. just by doing that, just by being somebody different, just by not having to cuss and not having to, that already influences people. Our actions influence people way before I get on stage to speak what I want to speak. The actions have to line up with that, because I don't want to get on stage and they say, man, that dude was doing this and that the other day. I want to get up. No, I want to be consistent. I'm consistent in my message everywhere I go. I'm consistent at work. They know me. I'm going to take off on Juneteenth. I'm going to do these certain things because these are things that I believe in. But at the end of the day, if you, what a lot of young black men don't understand is, if you contribute to society, if you contribute to these businesses, you create a sense of urgency. You create a fear of loss with yourself, to where now my company don't want to see me leave.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So instead of me always having to cater to my company or to my businesses, sometimes just by being yourself and doing that 100%,
Right. Takes you a long way.
sometimes people will cater to you. You know, so that's all I do,
Yes.
100% all the time. That's my household, everything. I'm the king. It's not. I don't live by these new rule laws and all that. I came from where I come from, and I believe in what I believe in. Right or wrong, you got to stand for something. If not, you'll be sitting around here falling for anything.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was wanting to get into your poem, New Niggas, but
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about
That later.
We're gonna talk about that later.
Already.
Second segment.
Okay.
But what I wanted to ask you, though,
Yes. You
Oh,
know,
hey man, I
he
listened
said,
to it, and I
we
was like,
said
yo.
this is gonna be rated E, explicit. So get
Most
ready.
definitely, because this is the thing. I'm a old-fashioned, old-school type of dude,
Right.
and this is, we're in a new world, and people are doing things differently.
Right.
So I really want to get into your motivation for doing that
I didn't know I was
piece.
gonna go into that.
Yeah, no, we're gonna go into it.
Yeah.
In the second segment.
You said
Yeah.
we can ask you
Hey.
anything.
Anything.
I
I'm not
asked you.
scared.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, I
there's
had
a
to drop
message.
that jewel on there
all
real
good.
quick
Yeah.
for you.
Some flames on my email.
I actually
What?
had to get some opinions on that before I even
Yeah.
released that to
Yeah,
the public.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
But I wanted to ask you about your just, because I know that it takes time to get to where you are consciously and being able to tell the world, hey, this is who I am. Accept me or don't accept me.
Right.
How did it, or how long, or at what point, was there a particular time that it just got to that point where you said, you know what, this is what it's gonna be?
Yeah.
What was that process like, and how long did it take you to get there?
Man, honestly, boys, I heard mature a little slower than girls. I was probably in my 20s. I had just experienced my second near death experience. I woke up on 69 going towards Nacogdoches in between two trees. I had just flipped off the highway going about 70 miles an hour. Crazy situation. It was clear driving, come around a little curve, and it was a storm. And I flipped my car, and it's ironic. I get chills thinking about it now. Only person on the highway, only person on the road during this time. I was out there. I don't know how long I was out there. I just know I woke up and I was still on earth, and I just started running, crying and running. And by this time, I didn't know that they had already told my mom that they couldn't find me. They thought the boars had got me, East Texas. They thought wild hogs had ate me, because they was like, no way somebody could survive what we just saw. The ambulance is telling my parents that. So at the end of the day, that's when I had to, I just stopped living, because I was chasing the devil on 69 and going somewhere that I didn't have nowhere that wasn't supposed to be going. And it was like a wake up call. Like, man, look, I can't keep giving you all this talent and all these opportunities and all these chances, and you taking them for granted. So at the end of the day, I was like, what do I have to lose? I done lived and died twice already. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I fear the only thing I fear is not being able to open my eyes. No, I mean, that was the biggest fear for me, to say I was in limbo, and I didn't even know I was in limbo. But when I woke up, I knew I had to do something, and it still took me years after that before I'm in front of y'all now. You know what I mean? And people been telling me, man, push your message, but we all move at our own pace. We all, have stuff put on our mind at certain times. But literally that day, I said, I have to be me. Like, I can't wake up with regrets. I couldn't do it. Coming from the small town, my whole thing was to see all 50 states. I didn't want to be constricted to Bryan, Texas. I didn't want that to mold my mentality on earth. I want to see it for myself. So at the end of the day, I had to wake up myself. I mean, that was my wake up call, and that really put me back on my path to say, man, you got to go out here and do something.
Yeah.
So you're to 34 now. Huh?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
34
just a few
states.
more left.
34 states, yeah. Hawaii, Alaska, a couple up in the Northwest, but everything on the East Coast destroyed. They know this Texas boy out there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
All
Now,
right.
how much of your faith and your religion goes into your work?
Hand in hand. I mean, like I said, I grew up in the church, long line of pastors, but I don't consider myself religious. If that makes sense. You know, I praise God, and I know that's the only reason I'm here on this earth. But I don't want to force feed it to anybody. I feel like my experiences and me being able to share my experiences, people should be able to see God through me. And that's what I was always told. You know, regardless if I'm putting money in the offering plate or you see me shouting down the aisle, if you feel a certain way when you see me and I invoke Jesus or I invoke Christ, then I'm doing my part. You know, and I might be doing it a different way, but that's what I feel like He puts on my mind to share with people. Authenticity. You know, we live in the world of social media where a lot of people just like to be entertained and like, you know, and I'll tell somebody straight up, this not for likes. This is real life, what I'm talking about. If you like it, you like it.
Right, and that takes us back to you mentioning and stating that you wanted to be the voice for the mute.
Definitely.
Just give me a little bit of that phrase. Like, what does that really mean for you, being a voice for the mute?
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So this is crazy. So on the south side of Chicago, it's brothers down there that never even been downtown Chicago. You see what I'm saying? Here I am, a Texas boy from the country, and I done been downtown Chicago and uptown Chicago and Wrigley Field, all this stuff that these guys hadn't even been to.
Exactly.
So that alone saying, man, I'm out here, a lot of my friends live their life through my stories and my journeys. And man, I see you in the mountains this week. I climbed a 7,700-foot mountain. You know what I mean? How many brothers from Texas do that? You see what I'm saying?
77
like,
foot.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So
feet.
at the end of the day, that's what I mean. Being a voice for the mute is through my actions. I want you to see that black men, black boys can do anything they set their mind to. Just even if you're from just little old podunk country. I grew up in a double wide trailer. We went from a single wide to a double wide. We thought we was the shit.
Okay.
On the dirt road.
Up to the
You know what I mean? And so you can't tell me that nothing's possible out here. And I just want to be the action behind what people talk about. I want to be the action.
The action, that's important. So you do stand ups, you do like poetry, you do your poetry, you do your events. When was the first time when you finally got up there and said this, I'm gonna spit my piece, and you got that response? Like, what was that first reaction like?
When I was in college when I did it. I actually was a rap artist. We been in Nelly recording studio. I actually did shows with Bone Thugs and Harmony. This showing my age now. So back in the day. So I basically, it was an easy transition from the rap game, which is a whole different beast, a whole different, you know, and they do it for different motivations, where I could just truly do it for the love. And I actually got up there and got a great reception. You know, growing up in Texas, people think we grew up around racism, but man, a lot of where I went to school was hidden racism. So a lot
cloaked a little bit.
Yeah. They just hide it a little bit,
indeed.
you know, and that's dangerous. Because I know where not to go to in Texas, but not knowing where to not go to in a foreign land, that could be dangerous. But yeah, so that's I got up and I spit it. I got a great reaction. Got some oohs and some ahs and some wows, and I was like, okay, I still got it. So that's that. But man, I did my grandfather's funeral at church. Like I said, literally, you know, I did my grandfather's funeral, my great grandfather, you know, and I call it the greatest poem I ever wrote. And that literally kick-started my ideas on my books and things like that.
Dope.
That's awesome. Well, before we go into the next half, just give the people your handles where they can follow you, social media.
Yeah, Facebook, Justin, I Do Me Brown. The only one on there, no number one, no number two, it's just me. Same thing on Instagram, Justin_I_do_me on Instagram. And then, of course, on Twitter, Justin, I Do Me. So basically, that's what you're going to get from me. When you follow me, just keep an open mind. Just realize that I'm not doing it for the likes. Know that I'm doing it for the education.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to go pay some bills. This is the quad in the building. You heard it. Justin, I Do Me.
I do me.